Good evening, ladies and gents. Another Tuesday, another heavy metal meltdown radio show, and tonight we have the pleasure on the other side of the line to have one of the berserkers of the heavy metal band Skálmöld from Iceland. Björgvin, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
How are things going up there?
All the way from Iceland to Greece.
So, Skálmöld. I made a little bit of research, and Skálmöld means the Age of Swords. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Before we can begin, can you tell us about something about that?
Something about the name?
The name, yes.
Yeah. The name, it's Skálmöld is an old Icelandic word, and the English translation is, it can be translated as Age of Swords. So Skálm is an old Icelandic word for a sword, and öld means a century, so Age of Swords. And it's also a word that is used to describe, in the 13th century there was a ongoing war between the biggest clans in Iceland. They were fighting over power here on the island, and Skálmöld is the word that has been used to describe that time in our history. So Age of Chaos, Age of Swords, something like that.
Okay, so 10 years on the road, 10 years, about 5, 6 albums and 2 lives among them.
Yeah, five studio albums and now 2 live albums in 10 years.
Yes.
That's
so
pretty good.
10 years, the 10th anniversary live in Reykjavik, the new live album that you are releasing October the 16th, I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to be released October 16th, but unfortunately, due some problems in the factory that is making the physical copies, we have to postpone it for 1 week. So October 23rd, it's going to be released.
So you made for the 10 years this live album. It's about 3 sold out gigs, if I remember right, on your hometown, Reykjavik, on the Gamla Bio show. I mean, the avenue. It's the avenue there.
Sorry, the question?
So, the live album, it's recorded from 3 sold out gigs on your hometown, Reykjavik, maybe where everything started.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
Just 10 years is and 10 years, all these albums and all these shows that we have done since we started is something that we had never ever in our wildest dreams thought about. We just in the very beginning we just wanted to start a metal band and hopefully release one decent metal album at some point. But now 10 years later we have 5 albums, I don't know how many shows we have played, all over Europe in these 10 years, and to celebrate it, in Iceland, 3 sold out shows, and it was just, it was something that we will remember, for a very long time. So and now that we have recorded it, we can remember it even longer.
I heard the live album, and all I heard was a good oil machine playing on the stage. I never heard you. Yeah. It's my sin. And I heard something that I liked it. It was something good oiled with traditional elements.
Yeah.
And with your native language, something that I liked.
Yeah.
So I believe that your hometowner was very excited to hear you after all these years, or maybe a gift to them for those 10 years. So I believe you never thought 10 years ago that you will reach that milestone.
No. Like I said, not something that we had just never dared to dream, really, to be,
So I believe you... Yeah, please, go on.
Yeah, just, since ever since day one, we have had like a very big and solid fan base in Iceland, and it was just a celebration, I think, for us and the fans as well. And I hope it shows on the record.
Well, I believe that you draw inspiration there from Old Norse gods, from Scandinavian history.
Yeah.
And I believe everyone at least on the southern parts here, on Mediterranean, they all believe that Scandinavian countries are Norway, Finland, but never thought about Iceland. And
Scandinavia is Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. That is the region that is referred to as Scandinavia. Iceland is a part of the Nordic countries, so to speak. So Scandinavia is more like this area in the world. Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and the Nordic countries is Iceland and the Faroe Islands as well, and Greenland. So yeah.
So it's the second live album.
Yeah.
And any difficulties recording the shows? Any techniques that you used?
No, not really. We just had a really good. We had really good people, looking after all the technical issues regarding, recording and stuff like that. So that was something that we luckily we did not have to think very much about ourselves. So
raw power, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. And I tried to make a research about you guys, and I never heard of you.
Yeah.
Believe me, hearing an Icelandic band, first of all, when they said to me, you're going to make an interview about an Icelandic band called Sklmld. And I was like, Icelandic heavy metal band. Iceland has a tradition about heavy metal bands like other Scandinavian countries. Because I think one thing that I want to do on this interview is to note to the audiences about Sklmld and Iceland, because I believe no one ever heard about that.
Yeah. We have here in Iceland we have we have a pretty good metal scene, heavy metal scene here in Iceland, and we have some other bands that have been touring quite a lot in Europe as well. And just to name a couple of bands that our very good friends in Sólstafir. I don't know if you have heard about them. They have been touring Europe for 10, 15 years already. Super good friends.
I believe I heard them.
If you're looking for Icelandic metal, you should definitely check them out.
Well, first of all, when I started, before I started hearing the live album, I had fortunately heard about Verduna, just to go on the roll of it. So I had a little bit of folk music in a way of Scandinavian countries and Norse mythology. And something that I liked about Sklmld was the chores. It was beautiful. And the first one, we will talk about that later, was with a collaboration with a symphonic orchestra.
Yeah.
Good. We will talk about that later.
Yeah.
So, back on 2016, you made a cover from Alstom, Drink. And you made a Sklmld cover, a version of it.
Yeah.
It was a very good thing to do.
Yeah, it's good to hear. You know, we have been friends with the guys in Alestorm for many, many years, and at some point this idea came up that Skálmöld would do a Alestorm song, and Alestorm would do a Skálmöld song, and we would release it. And yeah, it just turned out it was super fun to do. And obviously the Alestorm guys are just...
And really liked it, the Skálmöld version, because you made it your own song in a way.
Yeah, that's good.
And you made Drink from Alestorm. And one of my thoughts is, have you ever thought making an English lyric album? Have you ever thought, making an English version of maybe earlier album of yours? I know it's a little bit difficult, the second one, but have you ever thought, making an English version album?
No. To be completely honest, we have just never thought about singing in English. For us, it's very, very natural to write and sing in Icelandic, and I think that is not going to change anytime.
Well, I think maybe converting into English, I believe that it will lose something of that magic that you have in your songs, maybe, and in the atmosphere of all this thing that called Skálmöld, I believe. So yeah, and also back on 2013, you had your first live album. Was a collaboration with something that I cannot even pronounce. So I looked about the translations about a symphonic orchestra, Islands, I believe, an Icelandic symphonic orchestra.
Yeah, it's the Iceland Symphony Orchestra, and it's pronounced Sinfoníuhljómsveit Íslands.
So you know why I cannot pronounce it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I forgive you.
Okay, thank you very much. And it was I never had the chance to heard all the songs on this album, and I heard some of them, and it was beautiful. Have you ever thought of repeating it also this someday? Not only in a live album, but more a symphonic theme on one of your albums, your near future albums. You already had something like that, but in a more symphonic way, not like symphonic metal bands, but in a more grandiose way.
I don't know. It was. I remember when we did these shows in 2013 with the Iceland Symphony Orchestra, and we released it as a CD and DVD, and later as a vinyl, and we were super happy with how it all turned out, and it was obviously something that we are really proud of. But I think for us, that is something that we want to, keep as a special, event or something. And not something we will we would like to incorporate into our music more, or just I think for us, we really enjoy just being a metal band, and have this option of doing this special events like symphonic events. And we did 2 years ago. We also did some shows with the Iceland Symphony Orchestra again, and it was super fun to do. But as I said, for us, it is a special event and not something that I can see the band incorporate into the studio albums, for example.
Back on 2009, when you first started Skálmöld, you passed from, I think you passed from very different genres of metal or something like that. What made you say that is what we are going to do, Skálmöld? I read about passing from punk, from many genres. Not as Skálmöld, but many members of the band pass from many genres.
Yeah. We are like we are all heavy metal, guys. We grew up listening to heavy metal, and we started playing in heavy metal bands when we were teenagers. And when we started Skálmöld in 2009, most of the band members had been in all kinds of bands in Iceland, pop and rock bands and punk bands and metal bands and whatever. But at this point, everybody had this urge to start a metal band again, and I don't know what it was. Just the time felt right at this point, for us to get together and start this band.
So I believe it came naturally, in a way.
Yeah, it did. Most of us have been. Most of the guys in Skálmöld have been, friends for many years, even before Skálmöld. And it just happened at this point in 2009. It just happened that we started this.
Well, I believe many good things just happened. So yeah. Okay, now there is a question that anyone that's making interviews sick of it, but I have to tell it. So the consequences of COVID-19 from the start of 2020 to the music industry, and not only, affected many bands, labels, releases. So, what is your plans for supporting this live album, 10 years anniversary, live in Reykjavik? Any tours in mind with all this situation concerned? I know it's difficult. It's at least some tours on your country.
We had already, when we were doing these 10th anniversary shows, we had already decided that this year, 2020, would be a year off for Skálmöld, that we would not do any shows or just we would not do anything Skálmöld related this year. And it was in hindsight, it was a very good plan, because we have this COVID-19 situation all over the world, and basically every band in the world is on a break for this year. But for us, we are hoping that early early next year that we can go out on tour again. We have already made some plans for a European tour in March and April next year. And I don't know, I just really hope that the situation will be better in Europe. Not just for bands so they be able to tour, but just for people in general, that this pandemic will be more or less over as soon as possible. So let's see. I still hope that we will be able to do this tour in March, but we'll see.
Do we have any other bands on this tour?
We are going out on tour with Fintrol from Finland, a folk metal band from Finland called Fintrol. You know that band?
Yeah, I have heard of them.
Yeah. They just released a new album, the first album they have released in 7 years, and they are going out on tour to support that album, and we are going with them to support our new release. So just if everything goes according to plan, it's going to be a super fun tour.
I hope everything goes well and all this thing subside eventually.
Yeah.
And in 1 year ago, you announced going on a break.
Yeah.
Thank God, thankfully, it appeared to be a short one. But how difficult it is for a band to maintain its liveability for today's standards, even with COVID or with everything else. Believe me, here on Greece and in a Mediterranean country, it's not very easy as northern countries that have some culture about heavy metal.
Yeah.
And how difficult it is for a band to maintain its liveability?
It's for us. It's impossible. We all have normal jobs that we have to attend to. So the band is something that we do outside of our normal day jobs. So to make a living playing heavy metal is, I think there is only like a handful of bands really that can maintain that standard, that so they can make a living just being in a band. But for us it's not possible, unfortunately.
We recently saw Anathema going for indefinite hiatus because of COVID.
Yeah.
Many bands that live from that have many difficulties.
Yeah.
And many bands that I'm talking to, they say they have a morning job, if I can say that.
Yeah.
And I believe it's more or less difficult. So, any plans for a new album? All these things concerned about the situation of COVID and everything.
No. I think we've been on a hiatus now for almost a year, and we will not do anything with the band until March. That's like 5 months from now. So we'll see. Maybe we will find some inspiration when we start playing again. But now there is no such plan.
Any thoughts about, on the back of your head about a concept album? If I remember right, the first one was Baldur, was a concept album.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, having, a story that expanding on your heads about something like that, in 2 or 3 albums?
No. every album, every one of the 5 albums we have released have been like a concept album, and I'm pretty sure that when we start, thinking about doing a new album, that we will like to, go into that same pattern again of making some kind of concept around the album. But there's nothing that we have really thought about or discussed at this point with a possible new album. No.
Okay, the tough ones now.
Yeah.
What bands or music players inspired you to become the berserkers of Skálmöld? Any inspiration as kids? Anything that you say, I want to be like him, like those on that band?
I think pretty much for every member of Skálmöld is Iron Maiden. All of us have listened to Iron Maiden since we were small kids, so I'm gonna go with Iron Maiden.
Okay. What other bands are you listening this time around?
This time around?
Yes. It's not, it's not only heavy metal and any other band or artist.
Yeah, my favorite band is not a metal band. It's a punk band. It's called Propagandhi from Canada. I tend to listen to Propagandhi a lot, and I have been listening to them for the last 20 years or something. In the metal genre, Enslaved, probably my favorite metal artist. And I have to mention Stamina. They are not that known. Stamina from Finland, one of my all-time favorite bands.
Well,
and Rush as well.
We never forget.
I really like Rush. I've been listening a lot to Rush the last couple of years.
Recently, they almost died.
Yeah.
But with his own, phlegmatic way, he said, I'm okay. Okay, any memories from the first time you went on stage? Something that imprinted in your mind?
No, it's just...
Usually the first moments going on stage, it's the moments that you want to forget, in a way. But yeah, why not?
I just remember that the first many years of Skálmöld, I was so nervous every time we were playing a show that I couldn't sleep for a few nights before a show.
I think this thing never goes away.
No, you get used to it and you get better handling it, but still, every time we go on stage, I'm super nervous. And I think it's good. I think when you stop being, nervous about it, then you're in trouble.
Well, I believe adrenaline running through your veins is a very good thing on stage. So yeah, I think this is good.
Yeah, I think it shows that you really care about what you're doing.
Okay, any memories from worst and best show that you have? Any funny memories? Any funny moments?
On stage?
Yes. Or maybe on tour. I don't know.
On tour? Nah.
Like a Spinal Tap way. Without the dwarfs and the stoneheads,
And the stoneheads? No. I just remember that a couple of years ago we did a tour with Ailstorm, and we were in Romania, and we were supposed to play a show in Bucharest, and when we were traveling to Bucharest, the trailer on the bus, it fell off 2 times on the way to Bucharest. It just flew off the highway, and we arrived at the venue when the opening band was just finishing playing. That's the point when we arrived at the venue.
No sound, not anything, right? Just
we just
go and play.
We just set up all the gear in like 5 minutes and started playing. It was a super good show. Turned out to be really, really nice.
Well,
but,
and
the whole day we never thought we would be able to make it.
Okay, that reminds me of a song from Saxon that sang something like that. Anyway, what is your memory from Greece? You visit Greece 5 years ago,
Yeah,
playing with Helvetia and Wild Rose.
yeah. I just remember it was super, super awesome. It was the first and only time that we have been to Greece, and I just remember the fans being very, very enthusiastic about the show, and I really hope that we will be able to visit Greece again in the future.
I hope so.
It was
that
super,
too.
super nice.
Well, if
And I remember the olives. We had-
olives.
Yeah,
Well, usually
I like olives, and Greece has a lot of olives.
Well, yeah. Usually they say about other things like souvlaki, moussaka, something like that, but never thought about saying olives. Well, yeah,
I
believe.
love olives.
Okay, and okay, so I believe if everything subsides and everything goes to normal, maybe you will have the chance to visit us again, right?
Yeah, I would really, really love visiting Greece again. No, it was, it's one of the, best shows we have had as a band, in Greece, and it's a country that you do not visit that often when you're touring, and it's always special, and I really hope that we will be able to come there again.
So, any last message to your fans hearing you?
Any last message? I just be safe during these crazy times. Wash your hands, and hope to see you really soon.
Well, Björgvin, thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
We heard Björgvin Sigurðsson from Skálmöld, from Iceland. I am Archangel behind the mix. You heard Heavy Metal Meltdown. And of course, the most heavy and rock radio on Greece. We're talking about Black Velvet Radio. Björgvin, thank you very much. We will see you on tour maybe here in Greece.
Let's hope
so. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.